Okay, hello guys. Today I am making, I'm gonna start cooking and then I'll tell you what I'm making afterwards. Okay, so here I've got around 7 deciliters of pasta. I'm just gonna put that in some boiling water and I've got some frozen meatballs here. I'm just gonna... And I am going to start the timer. The pasta are going to cook for 14 minutes. And I will put some butter in here as well. I don't think I need too much of that. And maybe some more water. Since these meatballs are frozen, I think I'm gonna add a lid to this pan to steam them a bit and cook them more from the inside. And then when when they're warm, I'll remove the lid and let the water evaporate and give them some color. Okay, so what am I cooking today? I am cooking meatballs with pasta that has been boiled and then mixed with a bechamel. So kind of like stewed pasta. Normally you use macaronis, but I didn't have any macaronis, so I'm using rigatoni today. And so I used 7 deciliters of rigatoni. What I would have used is 5 deciliters of macaronis, and with that I would have used 5 deciliters of milk, so equal parts macaronis and milk. But since the rigatoni takes more space, I estimated that 7 deciliters of rigatoni is the same as 5 deciliters of macaronis, but I don't know if that's true. Okay, so the pasta is boiling. I hope that you can see this. I have a really bad camera setup. And let's see if this is going well. So the pasta is boiling and the meatballs are also boiling. And now I am going to start with the bechamel. So the bechamel, for 5 deciliters of macaronis or 7 deciliters of rigatoni, I said I'm using 5 deciliters of milk. For 5 deciliters of milk, I usually use around 2 tablespoons of butter and then also 2 tablespoons of flour. I think this is around 2 tablespoons of butter. So I'm just gonna grab a whisk and I'll start. I think that the bechamel might be finished about around the same time as the pasta. When cooking this dish, making 3 things at the same time, maybe it's not important, but you'd like to time everything so that everything's done at the same time. And I hope it will. It's been 3.5 minutes. So, okay, this is the way I cook bechamel. Normally when you make these kind of stewed macaronis, at least in Sweden, you boil the traditional way of making them is to boil the macaronis directly in the milk, so you don't use water at all. Maybe this tastes better, or tastes better doing it that way, but it takes a lot more time and it's more difficult. So like the easier way of doing it is to make the pasta and the bechamel separately, and then just mixing them and boiling them for a few minutes to make it creamy. This dish is kind of similar to mac and cheese, and you can put cheese in this, like cheddar cheese or just something that melts well, and that doesn't become stringy. But I usually don't put cheese in this, and it's not very traditional in Sweden to put cheese in it. Okay, so the butter is starting to The water is starting to evaporate or boil away from the butter, so I'll just leave this here for a few seconds, then I'll add the flour. And then when cooking a bechamel this way, the way I do it, I pour in the milk in batches. So like first I start with just a tiny bit of milk, mixing it into almost this thick dough, to then add more milk and more milk and more milk until I poured in all the milk. Some people put in all the milk at the same time. I feel like it just starts to clump that way. Maybe I just don't have the right technique. So okay, 1 tablespoon and 2 tablespoons. I always take a bit more than that, just because that way the bechamel becomes thicker, and I don't have to boil it for as long with the pasta afterwards. Okay, so, and I don't know if you can see this. This is for the bechamel. I have it on high heat, on the highest heat, just so it goes quicker. And then when the flours, when I put the flour in, I let it boil here for a while. It's okay if it turns a bit brown, as long as the taste or like the smell of flour, of raw flour, is gone. And yeah, I think this is enough. So then I just pour in a bit of milk, and it will go really fast, and I always panic a bit and feel like it's gonna stick to the bottom. And then it turns into like this ball. It looks really bad, but it's fine. And then a bit more. These first few times that I pour in the milk, those are the scariest ones. And it looks really bad. I don't know if you can see this. You just have to mix it until it becomes smooth. It will become smooth, as long as you mix it. Obviously this is not the first time I'm making this. So, okay, now it's fairly smooth, so I'm gonna pour in some more. Going quickly. Almost smooth. It does turn smooth if you do it this way. I think it's smooth now, almost smooth. And I'm gonna pour the rest in while stirring, making sure to stir the bottom so the milk doesn't get stuck to the bottom and burn. And now I also lower the heat a bit to heat this up a bit more slowly. Usually when I pour it in the last milk, it doesn't start to boil straight away. So here I usually have some time to do other things like check the pasta, remove the lid for the meatballs. Normally I make this in larger batches, so maybe like twice the amount of pasta and bechamel, but yeah, I don't know, I don't want to do that much tonight. Okay, I think these are warm. They should be warm. They have been steaming or almost boiling on pretty high heat under a lid for a while. They almost look finished. Yeah, it's like they already got some color. Okay. When mixing, at least with this metal whisk, you can feel if the milk has burned to the bottom. If it starts, you can like feel the texture. Usually it's okay, but if it's too much, then you might start tasting it in the bechamel. Okay, and the pasta, it's 4 minutes left of pasta. I think that's fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to get rid of this, and I'll start. There's a fly on my salt. Okay, so I'm gonna remove this, and I'm gonna get this thing, so I can put this pot on there when it's done, when it's a bit thickened. Then I'm gonna season it with salt, black pepper, and grated nutmeg or nutmeg powder. But first, I need this to thicken. Hopefully, it will. I'm working with a lot of pans. I always forget to turn them off afterwards, so I'm going to be extra careful doing that. And usually you have this with like ketchup. I think that's pretty common. Okay, so now that it's boiling, I'm gonna lower it a bit. Now it's on pretty low heat. However, it's probably still pretty warm. And then it should boil for like a minute or so. The longer you boil it now, the less you'll have to boil it with the pasta. Okay, I think this looks good. It's hard to tell right now. I'll show you later, but okay, I'm gonna turn that up. Then I'm gonna salt it. I'll show you when I taste it. I'll put a spoon in there. I told you in my last video that I haven't developed this like pinching technique where I know how many grams are in one pinch. But what I do have is I know how many of these that I should put in a certain amount of sauce or something. So for this amount, I'm doing like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I do that twice, and then a bit more. If I do twice the amount, I count to 8 4 times. I probably have to add a bit more salt later. And then some black pepper, maybe this much. And then some nutmeg. About equal parts nutmeg and black pepper. Basically a bechamel. And now I'm going to taste it. It's really good. The amount of salt is perfect. Could add some more black pepper. The salt is the most important. It's the most important to get the salt right. And the other ones, like, that's fine. Okay, so now the bechamel is done. Now I just need to wait for another 30 seconds or a bit more until the pasta is done. When the pasta is done, I'll pour out the water, and then I'll pour this bechamel into the water. And hopefully the meatballs, have not burned. They have almost burned. I don't know if that's because I have high heat or because I don't have any, because I have so little butter in this. I might just... yeah, the meatballs are a bit too cooked. I'll add some olive oil just because that was the closest. And that is the sound of the pasta being finished. Okay, just put this here. I'll put this away. I'll turn this off. And, okay, what should I do now? I should... Okay, yeah, this went really bad, these meatballs. Luckily, I'm not having guests. Okay, so I will take out another... What do you call these? It's not a coaster. because the meatballs are done, and I will turn up this one, and I will get this lid that has these holes in them. This is, however, the first time I make these like stewed pasta with rigatoni. I have made it once with penne, but not with rigatoni. Okay, like that. I think it's okay if there's a bit of pasta water left. Should help emulsify the sauce, or to thicken it. And then I'll just pour this in. And just hope that the ratio is good. So since this spot is still warm, it should be enough to just stir these together. And right now it's just like pasta swimming in a kind of loose bechamel, but in a while, if I turn the heat up a bit, then it should start to just thicken up a bit more. The starch from the pasta also helps. But here, I mean, if I had put some more flour in the bechamel at the start, this might be thick enough already. So I'm just gonna stand here and stir it for a while. I think it's starting to get a bit thicker. Personally, I like to have this. This is one of the dishes that I think is perfectly fine to have to eat the day after as well. Some people don't like it at all, because when you have just cooked it when it's fresh, then it's just very creamy, like some kind of mac and cheese. But the day after, it just like thickens even more and almost becomes like this, just like thick. Almost like a dough that you have like cut through. I mean, it's still good, it tastes the same, but it's not the same creamy texture. I think it's still fine, but it's not as good as fresh. But I guess that's the case with all kinds of pastas. I don't know if you can see that, but it kind of starts to thicken up real nicely. And since macaronis are thinner, I mean, these rigatoni had to boil for around 14 minutes. The macaronis I'm using, I think they usually boil for like 6 or 7 minutes because they're way thicker and it's much more surface area for like a given amount of for a given like way of pasta. So maybe this is not the perfect pasta shape. However, it looks good. Feel free to skip through or fast forward through these passages when I'm just like stirring and waiting for something to thicken or boil or something. This is one of the dishes that my girlfriend likes the most, or I shouldn't say she likes it the most, but she likes it. However, I'm not sure that I'm gonna give any of this to her because I need some for lunch tomorrow, and I might just need bit more to eat tonight. Maybe I can have half a portion, she can have half a portion, and then I can have one full portion for lunch tomorrow. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it like this. You can see the sauce is coating the pasta. I would like it to be a bit thicker. It shouldn't be like runny like this. It should be like thick. It should coat the pasta, but it shouldn't like be. It shouldn't be more runny than that. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it here because it always thickens up a bit more, even after we take it off the heat. Just gonna serve myself a small portion to show you what it looks like. Yeah. It's a bit loose, but I think it's fine. And some burned meatballs. I don't know if it was the heat or the lack of oil or butter that made them burn like this. Or just something else. And some Heinz ketchup. Like this and like this. And if you want, you can put some parsley on this, but I don't want to do that right now. So this is what it looks like. Tasty, huh? The nutmeg and the ketchup, it's quite a good combination. It's fine, or it's not perfect, but it's fine. It was really good, actually. The meatballs, they look burnt, but they aren't. They're just a bit, they're seared. This was good. I'm gonna give some to my girlfriend. Yeah, this was meatballs with stewed rigatoni. For the first time, actually. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.